So Rampage was unremarkable this week, and it's okay, but there's Ring of Honor now. And episode 1 was pretty good. So yeah, we still don't have it here where I'm from, so I might not be using the most legal of means, but until Tony Khan provides the means, this has to be how it happens. So sit back, relax, or even at the gym, whatever you're doing, welcome to my review of Ring of Honor on Honor Club, Episode 2. Let's begin.
1, 2, 3, welcome to Ring of Honor!
From the revival!
So the first match is Samoa Joe versus Tony Deppen for the TV title. So surprisingly, this was competitive. About 60-40 in favor of Joe. A lot of strikes and signature Joe stuff, but Deppen was allowed more offense than I think his popularity and his look would allow. Dude just looks straight up generic, no offense, but in the ring he's so good. Dude looks like the most clean-cut American white guy I've ever seen. But dude can do facial selling, he's smooth in the ring, and he's pretty agile. Like, dude did not botch even once. He can also work stiff and dish out what Joe gives him. But I think he doesn't get to show his full arsenal since he's against Joe. He's a pretty good trash talker, a nice southern drawl, but there wasn't anything crazy here. No spots of the match. Joe looked good and Tony Deppen looked good in defeat. The finish is a fully set up muscle buster on a weakened Deppen for the win. By fully set up, I mean it's not a counter. Joe did not struggle on the way to get here. Deppen was down, and Joe just did the killing blow. This was a good enough match. It was pretty entertaining, so I'm gonna give it TV main event. For the post-match, it's Joe calling for a challenger, and we all know how good he is in promos. But then Reach for the Sky plays, and Mark Briscoe comes out to challenge him. So yeah, of course, Mark Briscoe super over. Even Joe is respectful when accepting the challenge. It's Mark's destiny, and Joe is honored to be in the ring with the Briscoe. So we still have about 2 weeks till the pay-per-view. 2 or 3, I forgot. But yeah, this has to be built up. I would have preferred Mark to be the Ring of Honor champion, but I guess TV title is okay. And this feud has to be more than just respect showing. Joe or any future challenger should go in on Mark. Along the lines of Jay would be disappointed, or you don't live to the legacy of your brother, something like that. Nothing too intense, nothing too insulting at the families involved. Since yeah, there's still a tragedy that's fresh in everyone's heads. You can't go too far with this, but you can give this feud some teeth. So yeah, excited for this match, excited for the feud, but I don't know if Mark should win it right away. It should be a journey. And what the hell is Joe gonna do? Aside from maybe going for the Ring of Honor Championship. He's still a top star, he's still the best promo in there. Aside from maybe Eddie Kingston. So yeah, you're 3 top guys that could rotate for the championship. Would be Eddie Kingston, Claudio, and then Samoa Joe. So after this is the Dalton Castle promo to set up for the match. And I think it's inevitable that they're gonna win the trios titles. I think they're setting up for Brian Cage's departure. Even though I think the trios titles is beneath Dalton. Who else better? With every other championship having contenders, some being also a lot more beneath Dalton. But yeah, maybe while this gimmick is still fresh in everyone's heads again, it's been revived because he's been gone for so long. They would be cool trios champions. In my opinion, the trios titles of AEW and Ring of Honor should be merged, but we'll see what happens. There's just too many people in one side. So yeah, you should have a merged trios division. It might also get Dynamite watchers to tune into Ring of Honor. But yeah, Dalton Castle is just a well-realized character. Very good promo. Distinctly Dalton Castle. A lot of Daltonisms, very well worded. Daltonisms include Fanny Burp, Chumbawamba, moving dense furniture, and stay limber. This guy shouldn't be in Ring of Honor. He should be on Dynamite. I mean, he is a good wrestler, but I don't think that's the point with the gimmick. It's so over the top and entertaining that a lot more people should see it. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Dalton Castle should be moved to Dynamite. Literally any other team can take their spot in Ring of Honor and it wouldn't matter. And Dalton could actually do some good on the main AEW roster. He could go for the TNT title, he could legit reign with the All-Atlantic Championship, soon to be International Championship. He's a fun watch as a live audience member, as well as someone from home. And dude, this has to be like one of the hardest gimmicks ever to do, since you have to like straddle the line between a clown and a possible like champion, like a serious wrestler. On paper, very flamboyant, charismatic, all of those words. But in action in the ring, he can beat your ass. Like his entire gimmick, like as a trios, is like a heliocentric team, where his teammates, the boys, like just buff him. They're there to take hits, they're there to tire out opponents, and they're there to be used by Dalton. Like their most useful like function is to be thrown outside at opponents. And yeah, it might be cool to get like the actual Radio Gaga song when he gets over on the main roster. So they're facing off against Cody Chun, Guillermo Sosa, and Marcus Cross. And this was basically the Dalton Castle show, where he gets to show off his gimmick. It reintroduces him to like a possible new crowd. These people in the crowd might come from Dynamite, or like might just be goers of Universal Studios, I think. It's basically when Dalton is in the ring, he's in full control. And when the boys are in the ring, they give their opponents a chance to shine. So as for their opponents, I think the most impressive is Cody Chun. He does like 2 moves, but they look the best versus everyone else in his team does. And yeah, I made a mistake with this guy's name. It's Guillermo Rosas, not Sosa. I was thinking of Scarface a bit. But yeah, Rosas I didn't like very much. He's like that classic immobile style wrestler that I was never a fan of. He had the enthusiasm, but not a fan. Yet, he might win me over in the future. And then as for Marcus Cross, he can fly, he's like a flyer. He's also like pretty funny in the facial expressions department, as well as like the verbal expressions. He's a great whipping boy, but he oversells a bit. So the match's structure is a build-up to Castle's return in the ring. And they get a bangerang finish on Rosas, who I think should not have been pinned. I think it should have been Cross. He would have taken that move better, since he's a flyer. But yeah, really good win, fun match. It's nothing special. It's not as good as like Joe and Deppen. Deppen really surprised me. So I guess this is like a TV undercard, but this has spots in the match. And yeah, of course, the bangerang, very good finisher, and then like the boy throws outside. So after this is the OGK promo. Basic but intense. It's a straight up challenge to Top Flight while talking about gold. It's like an I will beat you promo, I will take my revenge. They're all like alright. I think Maria Kanellis is like the best. Her voice changes. Mike is all intense. And Matt Taven, bit monotonous, but I like the line when, since he's wearing purple, you would think my favorite color is purple, but it's gold. Clever line. But I think Mike Bennett had better delivery, and then Maria was just like above and beyond everyone else. Great manager, Maria is. And like she's made it so far from like the stupid gimmick that she had back in the day, where like she was just an airhead. So yeah, I'm a fan of the Kingdom. And when Kenny Omega leaves, Matt Taven is gonna be the one to like replace him because he looks just like him. So yeah, I forgot to use my skill to roll R's, since in my country we're like Spanish inspired, former colony. So I'm gonna start rolling my R's properly at Spanish names. So we have Rush and Dralistico versus Angelico and Serpentico. What are they doing with Angelico, man? Tall, good-looking, but slim dude who can wrestle. They've like wasted him for years in AEW. He might be a little bit unmotivated, but AEW did not help with that at all. The man should have went the Jack Evans route. He should have left, built himself up again, and then maybe get signed by probably AEW again. Because there's no way in hell that the WWE will ever sign Angelico. But thankfully here in Ring of Honor, he looked pretty strong, like he was competitive with Rush. Not as competitive as CD was, but like considering his booking, they actually lasted longer than I thought. He doesn't get to use like his full arsenal, but he does some cool kicks, and he's not the one pinned. He's also like kept away from Serpentico, so Serpentico was like the one who lost the match for them. But in the end, I think Serpentico got more over. Like even in defeat, he got some pretty good offense off, like as a perennial loser who's had like I think 0 wins in Dynamite, or like in all of AEW. And he stands toe to toe with like one of like the top factions of the upper mid-card. Or mid-card, arguable. But that's Roosh in there. He still gets his ass beat. But yeah, match went a little bit too long. He got just a little bit too much offense off. Roosh, we know what he can do. Dralistico, on the other hand, is sold as a mix of Roosh and Dragon Lee. Apparently 3 of them are brothers. And he's sold to be like a higher potential dude than both his brothers. And yeah, I can see it. Needs higher profile opponents, but I can see Dralistico like looking like Dragon Lee, but not Roosh yet. Serpentico had like a pretty bad botch. It's like an Irish whip, but he's not launched in one direction and he has to like do a curve in order to get to the turnbuckle. It looked bad. But yeah, Dralistico gets the pin, they destroy Serpentico's mask, and they look cool while doing it. Oh yeah, bit too much taunting from LFI. They should focus on the match. I love the taunt with like Jose contributing, as well as just like the partners doing like a double team taunt. But try to do more double team moves. Lessen the taunting. So yeah, this is a TV undercard match. It's okay. Bright side is Angelico looked good. So after this is Trisha Donna versus Billie Starkz. So we get women wrestling technically. Without the Divas awkwardness, like maybe just a little bit for Billie Starkz since she's like 18. But both these women like moved pretty well. Like arguably better than half of AEW's women's division. Like the Red Velvets, the Jades, the Kiera Hogans, Sierra Leones, like Trisha Donna, man. AEW's been around for 3 to 4 years. Trisha Donna is like a veteran of the sport and you don't even try to bring her in when she's this good in the ring. Like an actual stardom level wrestler who has the power and the strength to lift an opponent and then protect her as she falls down. She's agile enough to work like the dudes and she has a pretty cool look. I think like with the match that I saw between Nyla Rose and Riho, Trisha Dora outclasses them. And then as for Billie Starkz, that's a generational talent. Future star in the making, but we only get to see half of her game. I don't think I've ever heard her cut a promo yet, and that's probably because of youth. She still has a lot to learn, and I think she's still in school, in high school, because in America, 18 years old, you're still in high school. In here, or like it used to be, 16, you're in college. And now it's like 16, you're in like pre-college. Whatever the fuck's that called nowadays. But yeah, AEW have to sign her. But I would also like her to work in Japan. Have her work Stardom, have her work Tokyo Joshi Pro, Ice Ribbon, whatever. Because like at this age, at like 18 years, with 4 years of experience, she wrestles like a Stardom mid-carder. And arguably a Tokyo Joshi Pro main eventer. And speaking of Tokyo Joshi Pro, Billie Starkz will show up at Grand Princess, and I'm going to review that. And yeah, by the way, she even dresses like a Joshi. But yeah, let's talk about the actual match. The match has an underdog versus veteran story. Billie gets bodied by Trisha, but not without the lack of trying. Like by sheer power, Trisha just like destroys the shit out of Billie, and Billie sells it really well. And the selling is kind of like the Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale, like school of sounding like a dead animal. It's not just an ah, it's like a crying sort of noise as Billie is getting scoop slammed on the apron. Billie's stuff is very reactive since Trisha is on her the entire time, and she never really has a shot of winning. There's no set amount of control. She just like does valiant, cool shit that eventually fails her in the end. This is how you should have done Jungle Boy versus Brian Cage 1. It shouldn't have been a sweep. And now Brian Cage is gonna leave. But yeah, thankfully Trisha Dora is still with the company. Or like with the companies. So top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the rebound kick that Billie does. Trisha Dora like throws Billie's legs outside, but then it comes right back with a kick to the face. Number 2 is the strike battle near the end, where Billie's on her last legs. Valiant effort, but it leads to the finish, which is a Lariat Tubman. That is such an amazing finisher name. What a fucking pun. How is this woman not on, like, TV in front of, like, a larger audience? So yeah, Dalton Castle and Trisha Dora should really be in AEW. So yeah, TV main event, pay-per-view undercard. I love this match. Match of the night so far. So after this is the promo by Christopher Daniels. It's sufficiently intense, well-worded. It's almost like business-like. since we have like an elder statesman in Daniels. And it's him looking for a new tag team partner. Since Frankie is out of the company, he is in Impact, having bangers with the likes of Josh Alexander, Mike Bailey, and I guess Khan. But yeah, I think Frankie is in a better spot than he ever was in AEW. So his partner isn't here, so that's why he has to look for another one, and it's Matt Sydal. And apparently they were a team back in early Ring of Honor, and I think they're the ones who lost the title against the Briscoes for their first run. Yeah, that's where I saw it before. I thought it was Motor City, but apparently it wasn't. So yeah, Sydal is 39 years old, criminally underused, and finally he's gonna be more than just a Dolph Ziggler. Like, we're actually gonna have him still maybe lose a lot, but there's a chance, if the stars align, he can win a tag team championship. He cuts a fierce promo that suits his general demeanor, and it's alright. It's no Christopher Daniels, but it's okay. Matt is gonna pick up the slack in the ring that CD can't anymore. And nice to see Lexi get work after Renee Paquette took like all of Dynamite. But where is Alex Marvez? No one knows. So after this is Ari Daivari and Slim J versus Jake Crist and Manscout. So I don't know about this match. It looks like they should have came in first. How the hell was this like put in the middle of the card? We have two lower card dudes in Slim J and Ari, and then like an unknown in my book for Jake Crist, and like a pretty good funny gimmick wrestler in Manscout. I feel like this needed to be a trios. I feel like Tony Nese would have been enough to like propel this match this far and maybe add in another like ROH talent on the other side, but I didn't much care for this match. I was here for Manscout, by the way, and I think audibly the crowd was too. But dude didn't do much. He got his ass kicked. Jake Crist did some stuff and then he left. Slim J had a cool finisher that should have finished the match, but instead it's an STF. So yeah, sadly Manscout gets pinned. And then after this, for the post-match promo, Ari shows his promo skills, and I slightly care for him a little bit more. Facial expressions down, he has the voice down, a bit comedic still. He calls out Metalik, and this is where I like hated what happened next. Metalik, like one of the best luchadors in the world. Rope master, criminally underused back in the WWE. Cruiserweight Classic, I think like number 3 or 2 best performer. And then you have him get his ass kicked by the Trustbusters as he enters the ring. He doesn't even like get shots off. He just loses. He just gets saved by Blake Christian with a chair. Like, what are you doing? Grand Metalik is amazing, and then you have him get his ass kicked like this? Booking was fine until this point. Yeah, Blake Christian, I like him against Zack Sabre Jr., but I don't think he has the cachet yet to save a guy like Grand Metalik. Trustbusters also don't have enough cachet to beat his ass. It's like an Action Andretti and Ricky Starks situation. Yeah, Grand Metalik in the ring is better than both of them. It's just a fact. Starks can cut a promo, but Metalik, amazing. So after this is the 7th match in the card, and it's just the first hour. Like, what are you doing? What is even happening? This is so different from AEW. And I think that if Tony Khan just ran Ring of Honor, if he didn't need to do stories, people would still be praising him. But he's having a little bit of trouble. Nothing that you can't fix, but he needs help. Can't be running all of these promotions, booking these many matches, without like losing yourself. It's like he's losing his humanity every day. So yeah, my mistake, number 6 match, is Wheeler Yuta versus Timothy Thatcher. Just forget about the 7. 6th match, but it's still like a lot for 1 hour than what we usually get. But yeah, for this one, we have future high potential star, Wheeler Yuta. As I said in my short, I think he just needs to like bulk up a bit, and he would be right there. Because man can wrestle. And this has to be like one of the most exciting Timothy Thatcher matches that I've watched. He works so well with Wheeler and with the style. If any promotion suits him, it's Ring of Honor and Noah. Because dude is just like an anal limb worker. He's like someone from the olden days that was brought in via Time Machine. He's a true catch wrestler's catch wrestler. He's like Hideki Suzuki but more fun. And Hideki Suzuki is pretty boring. That's not a low bar to cross. Good catch wrestler, but that style, man, it's sleep-inducing sometimes. So yeah, we get like beautiful hold transitions into other holds. And I think I can appreciate Timothy Thatcher more where the crowd is louder, and where the focus is on the holds rather than the strikes. Because this guy can like do punches and like European uppercuts. It's like very old-timey. Spots of the match aren't really that exciting. Like number 3 is the finger slam. Number 2 are like knees to the back. And then number 1 is the finish, if you don't include what led to that. So yeah, for me, this match is better than the match he had with Danielson. Very scientific wrestling. And Wheeler answers in kind, but with more viciousness. Dude bites. He's like truly heel BCC now. And I think Wheeler talks better in the ring than on the mic. Like his in-ring trash talk is pretty good. His voice doesn't break. It stays deep. They work on each other's upper extremities, but Wheeler keeps the faith and weakens Tim's arms enough so that he's unable to do anything. Like Thatcher doesn't kick. He's all upper body. So no more strikes without hurting and no more holds. And then selling is consistent by Thatcher. And this match type can be pretty thrilling. Like having like this pure rules might sound boring on paper, but if you have limited rope breaks, there are tactics used that forces someone to use the ropes. Wheeler's rebound still sucks. Only bright side is that it leads to a grapple instead of a strike. Wrestlers should not do this. I hated it when Mox did this as Ambrose. Thankfully, he doesn't do it anymore. I think Wheeler should stop doing this. This looks clunky and slow. The finish with no breaks left is Wheeler gets launched outside. Thatcher goes for the chase, ref stops him, but then Wheeler goes for a punch, which is not allowed. But I don't like that it's treated as a weapon. Like if he had knucks, this would have been fine. But having a wrestler like as strong as Timothy Thatcher lose to Wheeler via a punch to the head, and this makes him passed out. This like knocks him out. Abdominal stretch is just like an accessory. I'm not okay with that. You know what? I'm changing top 1 spot. That one is gonna be when Wheeler is forced to use his last rope break. So yeah, this match is a TV main event, pay-per-view undercard. Post-match is Wheeler cuts a whiny promo. His voice breaks a lot. He's like a teenager. He needs to be protected when cutting promos. Like he cut a good one against Orange Cassidy, but it was just annoying. Thank God he's a heel, because as a babyface, this would be unbearable. He calls for a challenge like anyone from the New Japan Dojo, and then Clark Connors accepts. He interrupts him, and then he schools his ass. Like Clark Connors has all of the charisma. He has the enthusiasm to cut a promo, but it's like he's holding back his voice. Something was just a little bit off with Clark Connors, but it was a hell of a lot better than Wheeler Yuda. So after this is Aussie Open versus Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams. So Rhett and Tracy are wrestlers. Especially Tracy. It's like him, Rhett, and Tony Deppen could be in the same faction. They just have the same palette, but they're really good individually. Especially Tracy Williams. The Aussies are just a Flux-compatible, true tag team that uses like tag moves as their main thing. Like I don't think they even like do things separately. If they're not doing tag moves, they're getting beaten up. Could use a bit of work there, but yeah, that's just my opinion. They could do with a bit more like singles moves by themselves. You're too much of a team. They sometimes just like blend in with each other. But I love the innovative tag team stuff though. One could argue that's what a tag team should be. But this match was really good. There's one botch by Rhett Titus where he like tries to do like this Yasutaka Yano, upper body strengthening his way up of the top turnbuckle, but it slows down a bit. He has a bit of trouble, and then Kyle Fletcher, who's selling this like face attack, thankfully does not sell for too long. And then he recovers because it would look silly. And then instead of like going after Rhett, instead of waiting for him to do the move, he just does a clap. It's like a sarcastic thing, and it suits their character. And if anyone can back it up, it's these guys, and especially Kyle Fletcher. Tracy Williams, thankfully, is more impressive and kept up a whole lot hell better than Rhett. Or he might have put himself in a better position to succeed, because dude was on fire. So yeah, honorable mentions of the match. The delayed passed suplex, where Aussie Open just pass one guy to the other, and they do this like delayed suplex. Real fun stuff. Next honorable mention, I think, is going to be the spine sandwich, where it's like a circuit around the ring and then like a spine buster to each other. Number 3 is the Tracy Williams 1v2, where he valiantly fights for his life. Number 2 is the counter spinning tombstone. And number 1 is this like pull up pile driver where Mark Davis like pulls up Rhett Titus from the floor to an immediate pile driver position that sets up for the Coriolis effect to Tracy Williams for the win. This one is bordering upon like pay-per-view opener to pay-per-view undercard. Real strong match. And at the end, when they like shake hands, it's all like arrogant stuff. It's done pretty much with disrespect as they're shaking hands. And yeah, smarmy pricks these guys are, just like their leader. Hopefully they never leave. The match could have used a little bit of keep away, as well as like more cutting the ring in half, but it's okay. It was very fucking good. So after this is Eddie Kingston versus Bendejo. Serpentico is doing double duty, and he loses to Eddie Kingston after like 3 moves. But the post-match is the most important part because Eddie challenges Claudio. But Claudio, who comes out after, says Eddie has no honor, and they have to build this feud even up more. Like, not everyone knows the backstory between Eddie Kingston and Claudio. This has to be explained by the characters in promos, like them discussing this, or in like interviews, videos and such. I don't have to watch Joseph Montesilio's video in order to get this feud, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, this whole thing ends with Claudio escaping and Eddie being pissed off as usual. So after this is the pre-match promo for the main event, and Willow cuts one first. And she cuts it like the anxious millennial cowgirl, natural babyface. She doesn't have to yell to convey what she's saying. Very cutesy way of like cutting promos, matches her character. But when it comes to Athena brings out the intensity. But I think the pitch is a bit too high to be a babyface. Athena sounded a bit too cute. A bit like Willow to be like this scary heel. But it's alright. It still works. She brings it. So as for the match, all of you who say that Athena is an unsafe worker, like that she sucks, that she didn't make it to the big leagues, all of you go fuck yourselves. Athena should have beaten Jade. Like, there's no universe that Athena is not better than like half of the 4 horsewomen. Like, in ring, she's like top best AW in-ring wrestler. Jamie's number 2 at that. And she wrestles like a main event Stardom Joshi. She has a drop kick that is so powerful that in mid-air, she does like a springing motion as she goes for the kick, and it looks so powerful. It's like a shotgun. And also her finisher is the best in the game. The Eclipse, or I don't know what it's called now. And then as for Willow, just a ball of charisma. And she's more mobile than like a lot of the other women. I saw a sequence between Charlotte and Shotzi, and goddamn, Willow can do better than that. Nice power move set with an awesome like Brody King style cannonball. And she sells just like Ruby Soho and Billy Starks, where it's like her crying for pain. It sounds like a desperate animal. The match is pretty slow paced, the usual structure. And Athena's targets are both Willow's arms. I like that because Willow's bigger, Athena keeps the match low on the ground. But I don't like how there's a lot of like double downs. I don't like that there's no sense of urgency when she's in control. Do stuff. Don't just like look at the crowd and mock Willow's taunts. Athena's movesets, her grapples, her strikes are so good that you're not using them like as much as I would want. The arm plays into the rest of the match as well. And Willow never forgets to sell. Her ability to do her power moves is decreased, and it affects her hitting her finisher, but also it weakens her finisher by the end. It doesn't end Athena. She can't get full power, so Athena kicks out. And yeah, I don't like Athena's gimmick. I don't like the tantrums. She's not Christian Cage early 2000s. I'm sorry, that just like was terrible. A great in-ring worker such as Athena should not be doing that shit. But I like that as a heel, she uses dirty tactics, but she never breaks the rules. I don't know if it's like the Ring of Honor thing or it's just like smart from her booking. But yeah, honorable mention spots of the match. I like the 3 amigos with the fisherman suplex ending, as well as Athena using the ropes, like pulling Willow to the ropes. Willow eats ropes, and then Athena delivers like a running forearm. Number 3 spot is the Willow comeback, powerbomb to the apron, and then a Death Valley driver on the outside. Number 2 is Athena's gut wrench powerbomb, like code breaker, but it turns into a kick instead. And number 1 is the finish, where Athena leaves. Like, there's a 20 count, so she can do this. She, like, leaves, pretends to get counted out. Willow follows, and then Athena just destroys her on the ramp. This weakens Willow, and then when she goes back in the ring, she's right where Athena wants her. Eclipse for the win, Athena retains. Post-match is an attack with no one helping, and what would have been nice was to have Paige and Tony and maybe Ruby. They spray paint the shit out of Willow, and then they add Athena to their ranks. That's the next best thing to happen to that feud. But yeah, my rating for this match is a pay-per-view undercard. Bit too much double downs, and I would have liked more moves. But yeah, minor thing. So yeah, episode 2 of Ring of Honor was really good. No bad booking yet, except maybe once, almost. I like that there are new wrestlers featured, and they're made to look good by the veterans. Some people in this card should be on Dynamite, honestly. But we'll see how Ring of Honor does. Hopefully Tony Khan's forecast about the sub count is actually true. But yeah, great show, you should watch it. Legally, not illegally like me, since I don't have it in my country. But yeah, when we have it, I'm gonna buy it. So yeah, that's it for the show. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos, and please, fuck the revival.